an alternative way to receive the pleasure you wanted while cheating the consequences that came with it, you take it, right? People that use smokeless tobacco believe that they've found that alternative way. After all, you're not actually inhaling the chemicals into your body as you would with a cigarette. Many misconceptions have led people to think that switching from cigarettes to smokeless tobacco is a safer way to get their nicotine fix. Today, I will argue that smokeless tobacco is not a better alternative to cigarettes, and show that though it may be smokeless, it does not mean harmless. By showing you its addictiveness, chemical makeup, and effects on the body, you will see that smokeless tobacco is just as, if not more harmful than actual cigarettes. Most people may choose to quit cigarettes and begin using smokeless tobacco because they believe that it's less addicting, when actually they've made a very wrong decision. The route may be different, but the addiction is the same. According to Relay Health, an online health organization, smokeless tobacco is even more addictive due to the fact that nicotine is 3 to 4 times more readily absorbed than inhaling the nicotine from a cigarette. This is due to putting the tobacco on the lining of the cheeks and lower lip, both which are very vascular areas. Placing the tobacco here allows the nicotine to be absorbed fast and gives it the ability to stay in the blood longer, creating a longer-lasting relaxing effect. Over time, users become more addicted because they need more and stronger tobacco to receive this effect. When the nicotine drug is not sufficient enough, withdrawal symptoms begin to occur. These include depression, increased appetite, irritability, and of course, intense cravings. These effects can ultimately lead to continuous use, which in return results in an addiction. Although it is not always the case that people who use smokeless tobacco will experience withdrawal symptoms, the risk is much higher for those who are frequent users. To better understand a person's addiction to smokeless tobacco, let's compare it to a person who may be dieting. Imagine how you feel when you're on a diet. You constantly crave the food that you know you can't have. However, you may eat it anyways from the satisfaction you get from it, thinking, well, it's only this one time, when it actually turns into 2 or 3 times, which turns into this cycle of bad choices. This is what smokeless tobacco does to people who get hooked, but the bad choices ultimately end up to the addiction. As previously stated, the addiction is the result of the chemical nicotine, which is found in all tobacco products. People may believe that since smokeless tobacco is just finely milled tobacco leaves, they are not being exposed to the chemicals they would if they were inhaling cigarettes. However, while nicotine may be the main ingredient, people are actually being exposed to far more worse chemicals by choosing smokeless tobacco. Smokeless tobacco is fully loaded with cancerous chemicals. In a recent study by the National Cancer Institute, they show that at least 28 cancer-causing chemicals can be found in smokeless tobacco. Some of the most harmful chemicals include benzoprine, a product used to make dyes and paints, and formaldehyde, a product used to preserve dead bodies. Also found in smokeless tobacco is acetone, ammonia, and cadmium, which is a battery acid. When comparing the amount of nicotine found in cigarettes to smokeless tobacco, the numbers are astounding. TobaccoFreeU.org, a tobacco prevention website, states that 1 dip contains 5 times the amount of nicotine as 1 cigarette, while 10 dips a day equals the same amount of nicotine as 30 to 40 cigarettes a day. Still believe that smokeless tobacco is the better choice to get your nicotine fix? The greatest misconception and main reason people choose to switch from cigarettes to smokeless tobacco is the myth that there are less harmful effects to the body. By making this switch, people believe that they've dodged the risk of acquiring cancer. The risk of cancer may be the main reason for the switch, but it is not the end of the problems when it comes to smokeless tobacco. Jessica Cohn, author of What a Trouble, explains that smokeless tobacco encourages gum and tooth disease, discolors teeth, and can even take away your sense of smell. Also, nicotine increases the heart rate, which can cause heart disease. Still, mouth cancer is the biggest issue. Smokeless tobacco increases the risk for mouth cancer 50 times with people who are diagnosed living less than 5 years. Julie Mehta, author of Chew on This, told of a young man who decided to choose smokeless tobacco over cigarettes because he believed it was less harmful to the body. Rick Bender took his first dip when he was 12 years old. He explains, because it was advertised as a better alternative to cigarettes. However, when Rick turned 20, he found white patches in his mouth, known as leukoplakia, which would not go away. Bender was eventually diagnosed with an aggressive form of mouth cancer. This led to the removal of part of his tongue and his jawbone, eventually changing his life forever. Since then, according to Ned Burgett, author of Keep Kids Off Spit Tobacco, there are 30,000 new cases of oral cancer in the U.S. and 8,000 deaths attributed to it, all due to the use of smokeless tobacco. As you can see, there is not a better option when it comes to tobacco products. Although they are made differently, they all come with a consequence. By showing you the different negative aspects and effects of smokeless tobacco, hopefully you see that it is just as harmful and definitely not a better alternative to cigarettes. The facts are there for you to decide. Do not be fooled by the misconceptions that are said about smokeless tobacco, and do not become another victim of its effects.